Welcome to The Notice, a podcast from Otava with host TJ Houske and Melissa Locke.
All right, welcome. Episode 9 of The Notice. I'm Melissa Locke, Chief of Culture and Talent Development, and I have TJ, the CEO of Otava, with me.
Hey, good day. You never know when these are recorded, right? Is it morning or is it afternoon? We'll leave that to the imagination. But 9, like we're cruising through the first season, and yet we both thought when we started, I don't know, could we fill out a season of podcast content?
Right? I know, it has been fun, especially getting to spend some time with Josh. He runs our marketing department, and Cassidy, who's the creative genius, supporting us every week. And we're so lucky that they let us do this every week.
Right. Yeah. And we won't tease Josh or Cassidy because they don't have that kind of sense of humor. But, you know, if they were to help us write the scripts and put in their own shout out, I mean, that would be pretty cool. Maybe we should give them that idea.
When you're amazing, you get to do things like that. Yeah.
That's right. They're amazing. It's a lot of fun. I dig it.
What's going on in your world, TJ?
Well, let's see. October 31st marks the end of our On the Road campaign. And so for those that have been kind of following along, we said, hey, listen, you know, having the opportunity to take a leadership position here now as the CEO. And the first and most important thing to us, right, is you can't be a service provider without customers to serve. So let's get out there and talk to a subset of our customers that have a different product mix, a different, you know, segment mix in terms of industry, and get to know them. And so that's coming to a close. We've almost achieved our goals of talking to all of those customers within that time slot. But the reality is what it represented was a kickstart to what we want to do in the ongoing efforts of, you know, talking to customers in regular cadence, getting that feedback and building that into our centristic approach, you know, that is entirely about them, whether it's development or growth or just relational. We're pretty stoked about that. So that's come to an end. We have board meetings this week. So I fly out today with Austin Cook to Hagerstown, Maryland, which is where one of our broadband properties are, our cousins, as we call them, here at Schurz and Otava. And so excited about that. But I have to spend a couple of days alone with Austin, so send prayers. So that'll be fun. How about you? What do you have going on?
Well, I do have an On the Road Again meeting today, and then People in Culture is doing their own On the Road Again with open enrollment coming up. And so we're working on that as we plan to deliver information live at many of our properties, which we haven't done in a few years. And our theme this year is rock and enroll. So that's going to make it a little more engaging and energizing. So don't be surprised if you see some hairband wigs and arm sleeve tattoos coming out in a video for employees. So we're having a little bit of fun. Yeah.
I dig it. So 2 things. Let's see. So this would be the first time probably since pre-pandemic that you've been able to go out and do something like this. Yeah.
Yep.
So that'd be cool.
Yeah, I've spent this year quarterly going to different properties, doing some training, but this is our first getting out in front of groups for open enrollment, which is a good idea, I think.
It's energizing, right? You didn't realize it till, you know, so that's really cool.
Absolutely.
And then as far as the whole rock dress, so are you basically pulling out your high school wardrobe? Is that?
Well, I did order some Aquanet, so yes.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Gotta get these bangs, you know.
Just tell him to, you know, if there is going to be smoking, it must be outside and 10 feet away from you.
Right. I'm going to roll them up in my sleeve.
That's awesome. Oh, that's good stuff. I'm excited. That's cool. Be fun. Yes, you're going to have stories to share. That is for darn sure.
It is. It's going to be a good time. It's good to get in front of folks, which we've been talking about. So it is National Knock Knock Joke Day.
Okay.
So even if you're listening and it's a different day, who doesn't love a good joke, right? So TJ, tell me your best knock knock joke.
Okay, I can't wait. Now, this was hard because I genuinely want to put my kids here and let them tell knock knock jokes because they're even better at it, right? But, all right, so Mo, knock knock.
Who's there?
Luke.
Luke who?
Luke through the peephole and you'll find out. It's so bad. Oh, so good. Immaturity is a superpower. I'm gifted with it. I love it. All right, you're up.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
A broken pencil.
A broken pencil who?
Never mind, it's pointless.
I wonder if somebody gets paid. Like, we'll have to do some Google research. Could you imagine if your job professionally was just to write knock-knock jokes all day?
I'm applying for that job.
Some people write Hallmark cards and some people get to write knock-knock jokes for a living. That's like awesome. Like some 13-year-old that's out there practicing what their dad joke life is going to look like in, 20 plus years.
Well, it kind of goes into what we want to talk about, doing things you love.
It does.
That's
it
your
does.
genius, writing knock-knock
100%.
jokes.
Yeah, I dig it.
Okay, so today we want to talk about how we keep ourselves motivated at work. And some of this applies to the remote work environment, but really most of it, you could apply to any environment. And the main point is that we own our own motivation, and we don't really rely on others to instill on that. It's not our employer's responsibility to manage our motivation. It's up to me and up to you. So I want to talk about some tips to set ourselves up for success at work.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, so I know that we both have some tips we want to share, and I'll let you get started with the first one about just ways that it's on us. How do we help ourselves?
Yeah, I'm excited about the topic. I mean, as we've talked about this podcast in general, this is a mix, right, between technology content, content for, helping run a firm, manage a firm, lead people. So, I think organically it's evolving. And so this particular topic, I think you could apply in a lot of different ways. If you're an employee, if you're a manager at a different company and you're wanting to think about some of these things, or maybe just as an individual, like, are you doing these things to help make life a little bit better for you and work-life balance, which we hope everybody understands how powerful that is. But I think this has also become much more important since COVID, because there is a whole new world out there. And if you think about it, we're really only 3 years into it. Of what does this look like in a distributed workforce? When you it's kind of weird. Think about it. We spend most of our day alone and yet not.
That's right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you think about that in the context of I'm in my home, as long as I'm connected to a camera and sitting at my desk, I'm connected to other people. But when I step away, I'm home and I'm alone. And so I think that having a dedicated workspace and that kind of a setup is extremely powerful, because for me, my setup at home, I have an office space that's above my garage. And I'm super thankful for it, because when I'm not traveling, to have an opportunity to come up to work, to isolate myself, to focus, which is what it's really about, that I'm, putting on my work hat and being able to do those things lets me be incredibly efficient. But equally important is that when I leave work, I leave work. And so I'm able to leave it upstairs, out of sight, out of mind, and really focus on what I need to be doing then, which is, leading my four walls. So I think first and foremost, to be successful and to find peace in the journey of work-life balance, you're going to have to create a dedicated space for yourself. And, that might be for some people a bedroom, it might be a kitchen area, and then you have to kind of pack it up at the end of the day and put it away. But to the extent that you can create some isolation and separation for that moment that you're doing work, it's a really powerful thing.
Yeah, that's right. When we first, went remote, I was at the dining room table, and it was, I was in a meeting, and my daughter was making pancakes and set the fire alarm off. So it wasn't a really great experience, but I definitely learned. I do have a separate room now, and so it was a work in progress over the past few years of finding the best workspace for all of us.
Right? Like it took time.
Yes,
you went home
did.
overnight.
Yes.
And then it took a little bit of time to create it, and I'm sure that I remember seeing people that had like their washer and dryer in the background, because the only time they had to hide themselves in the laundry room, because that's where they could find, their setup. So certainly it's changed over the last couple of years, but it's important. So
yes, I've been in probably 4 different spots until I finally found what worked best. So definitely takes some time.
Well, you do the swimming pool during the summer, right? Because we talked about putting it on a raft.
Yeah, an important floaty, yes, that accommodates what I need to work, for sure.
Right. You're the only person I know that we've budgeted 5 laptops per year, so when you drown them, we can replace them.
Oopsie. TJ.
I love it.
So another tip is just maintaining, you've got your dedicated workspace, but maintaining that routine or creating some sort of structure, because it's easily to get distracted in different work environments. And I think an important part of structuring your day, which is really filled with all of these micro engagements and micro interactions and micro tasks. But how do you structure it so that you're spending at least 20% of the time, which is a magic number according to Marcus Buckingham, on something that you love? And people don't usually like to use the word love at work, but this is thinking about when you talk about your work, you say, I love doing this, or I love this about my job, or I love thinking about this. So this is the work that causes you to lose track of time. If you're familiar with Clifton's strengths, it's just the way your brain works. It comes naturally to you, just aligns with your strengths. So build that routine, create some structure, but don't forget to do the things that energize you the most, at least 20% of the time. And that might take tracking, writing it down so that you can, hold yourself accountable, and you will work happier.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I think it's funny, right? Like, I've noticed even in just, 40 plus years on this rock around the sun, right? Like, work has changed. Like in just the last couple of decades, what once really felt like, I remember my parents telling me, you have your work life and you have your personal life, and you compartmentalize them, and what you do at work, you do, and that doesn't mean have a different personality between the two, but it was this almost like proverbial wall that existed that the two didn't blend together. And what I've noticed in just 2 decades is that the lines are very blurred now, where we always tell people, you and I joke, listen, all you can do is bring your whole human self to work every day.
Right.
That's who you are.
Yep.
Right. And so emotions aren't bad as long as emotions don't have you, right? You can have emotions, don't let them have you.
That's right.
And so when you kind of think about it in that context, I couldn't agree with you more. Like, you really do have to bring your full self to work and really figure out within your full self and in the job that you're in today, what turns your crank, because there's plenty of things, I'm sure, people in culture, maybe you love culture and not people, right? Like that.
It's numbers and culture, right?
Numbers and culture is also what we call it, right? But no, the reality is, like, every opportunity, it's not a job, it's an opportunity. It really is. Every opportunity has a blessing and a burden in life, or professionally or personally. You can't have one without the other. To suggest that, you are absolutely missing the major point, which is you have to learn, the contrast principle. And so I think you're spot on that it's really important that you find the things that turn your crank, really focus in on those, and then understand that the other things are just, elements of your interaction day to day. But if all you focus on is the things you don't enjoy, that can equally have a negative or an adverse effect, right, of just grinding it. So
right. And setting that expectation, it only takes 20%.
That's right.
To have that satisfaction. So if we focus on, 80% of the time I'm doing things that I don't truly love, well, that's good. That's fine. Yeah. That's kind of the way it is,
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's how it works. It's good stuff. Well, I think, for me, another area that I would really emphasize in today's discussion is grow intentionally, right? I think that there's a lot of times that we put on our calendar, what do you always say? That you got to schedule intentionally, right?
That's right. Scheduled time drives out unscheduled time.
Right? Scheduled time drives out unscheduled time. Well, it's the same thing with growth. I think a lot of times people look at work and personal, especially from a growth perspective, whether it's personal development, fitness, spiritual development, whatever that might be. And I'm going to get to that. And then you look up and 30 days has passed by and you've spent maybe 2 minutes doing that. And so it's incredibly important that you grow intentionally. And whether that is 10 minutes in the morning to read 10 pages, or Andy Frisella talks about that. So if you want to go check out Andy Frisella's podcast, he does that. But if it's 10 minutes in the morning or 10 minutes at night, it's 20 minutes a day. You look up, that's maybe 2 books a month, a book and a half a month that you've invested time, right? It's incredibly important that you schedule that time, that you're incredibly intentional with that time, because just like, building muscle if you're working in the gym, or, whatever else might be interesting to you from extracurriculars, activity perspective, growth has to be intentional, has to be prioritized, has to be scheduled. And if you do that daily discipline, you look up over time and realize you've become what you wanted. You can grow into something more. But in order to do more, you have to become more, right? Is really what it comes down to. So I think it's incredibly important that growth is something that you prioritize, you're intentional about it, and you schedule it into your day.
Yeah, I agree. I put in my email signature, be a learn it all, not a know it all. I think that
I
takes
like
that
that.
mindset too of just being open to new ideas and
Yep.
learning too,
I
just
love
the
that.
simple
That's
things.
awesome.
Another way to help you stay engaged in your work and more motivated is to purposefully connect with others. And so, if you work for a company that has on-site days or opportunities for collaboration, you should be participating in those. You will be. It is rewarding to connect with people in person. I remember the first meeting I went to after COVID, and I didn't realize that I was missing anything until I got in a room with 10 other people, and I just felt the energy. And I was like, oh my gosh, I actually do miss this interaction with people. And so,
That's right.
so take the step, collaborate with folks, participate in any of those on-site days. You may not realize that you're missing that human interaction. And
Yeah,
then
that's
just
right.
purposeful, frequent communication with others. Connect with people, reach out. And if you're a manager, take the time to have that 10 to 15-minute one-on-one with each of your direct reports each week. Develop that connection. Talk about those things that they love doing, help you get to know them, and then maybe where they need help. People do crave attention. And like TJ said, with sitting at home alone in your designated workspace, and some people then leave their designated workspace to be home alone. Not everyone has families at home. So take care of each other, pay attention, give attention.
That's good stuff. I think Gary Vaynerchuk, if you want to follow somebody that does a great job in, helping with content marketing, and Gary, I love you. If there's a shout out and you want to put us down, tag me, like me right now. But Gary's awesome.
Yeah.
He's I always joke, I kind of feel like he's the more vulgar version of of Ted Lasso, right? Kindness is cool, but Gary has a way of making the F word an adverb and a noun and all in one.
That's true. Yes.
And there's no judgment in that, but total disclosure, if you're to listen to that, if those words offend, I'm not promoting the words, but I am promoting Gary the person. And he's a caring, kind, very smart, savvy business guy. But that being said, what I love about his messaging over the years, and I've been following him for a really long time, is Gary says attention is the new capital. Right? When you look at marketing today and you look at social media and you look at all the content, or what I would call the noise that exists, attention is capital. And when you think about that, what you're really after from a marketing perspective, because obviously we're a business, right? We're not putting this out for no reason. Attention, your time, and trade for that gives the opportunity that if using that time well, you can create influence. And to create influence creates outcomes. And outcomes are created through productivity, right? And so at the end of the day, if you listen to like Marcus Buckingham and what he's talking about on John Maxwell's podcast, or if you listen to what Gary's saying, or even what we're sharing today, make no mistake about it. Like, you're in this to influence other people, and how you influence people, good or bad, comes down to the level of personal growth that you do for yourself. Who you become influences other people. And the greater that you can become, the law of the lid gives more room and opportunity to help others become more and influence them more greatly, and to create more productivity. And there's the win, right? But at the end of the day, it starts with attention of just, are you sweating the small stuff? Are you getting to understand, as you're talking to somebody, what's in it for them, not for you, in their opportunity? What do they like? What do they dislike? What are the names of their kids, their pets, right? What are their hobbies? Like, genuinely getting to know somebody gives you permission to build trust. Trust builds influence. And then, your character and self-development is what leads into influencing them well. So hopefully that's one of the big things that you catch from your time that you spend with, Mo and me here in the Notice, is we're firm believers that it starts with people, and it starts with you as an individual taking responsibility for who you become, and then you're able to pour that out, into others. And so I think that's the big thing to walk away with, is it really does start with you. And what we're giving today are big nuggets if you really focus in on geez, like what does turn my crank? What makes me happy for that percent of my time? I'm really happy, right? But what is that thing for you? So I think it's important.
Another tip that we have is to just set boundaries. And I think that is definitely, especially if you work remotely and at home, and defining when your day starts and when your day ends is probably more
Yeah,
important. How do you disconnect from work and really have how do you identify that the day is over, the work day is over? We don't have that time where we walk downstairs and we get in our car and we drive for 20 minutes and then we're home and that's the work day's over. So how do you make that distinction when you're literally just walking out of one room into another room in your home?
sure.
Um, and why does it matter? Because you and your family are a priority.
Yeah,
And if you're an achiever and you like to get things done and you get energized by checking things off of that to-do list, and sometimes you get a little lost in your to-do list to feel accomplished, put self-care on your to-do list. Put time with your family on your to-do list. Put reading a book to your child before bed on your to-do list. And this can just help you balance your needs for achieving and getting things done and taking care of you and taking care of your family. So I think that's an important piece about the
that's good.
boundaries, working from home, and giving each thing in your life the proper level of prioritization given the time of day as you structure.
That's good. I think you're better at that than I am. So I'm so guilty of violating that because to your point, I am that person that likes to get things done
Mm-hmm.
and knock it out, or can give up more time for somebody else and not prioritize enough time for myself. Or even for those people that matter the most to me. Not that all people don't, but obviously your four walls first.
Right.
And so those are really good nuggets. I hope people listen. I listen. It helps that I have you regularly to thump me.
Oh, TJ's calling. Decline. He's on
Decline.
PTO.
Hit,
Decline.
hit the red button. Hit the red button. No, I think that's really powerful. And then one thing that's worked for me throughout my life, I'm a huge believer in fitness, just moving, nothing crazy. I've done all sorts of extreme things, from sports specificity training, being an athlete, all that kind of stuff. But I just believe in fitness as a part of your life and what it does for you physically, emotionally, spiritually, like putting that all into balance. And I think that a lot of people don't really slow down long enough. So you get caught up, or what do they say, keeping up with the Joneses, right?
Mm,
I think
yeah.
in life and all things, whether it's professional, personal, especially in fitness, something that you use for health can also be used in an unhealthy way. So just know that everything that you do has a contrast. And so I'll talk about taking a break real quick and what does that mean from a fitness and a health perspective. Sometimes you can run away from problems in fitness. It's easier to spend 30 or 45 minutes or 60 minutes doing something that you feel like, this is for me. This is self-care. I don't have to do my other stuff in life, right? When really what you're doing is abdicating or running away from those things. So be careful, because everything has an addictive element to it, all right? But fitness used the right way, 5 to 10, 15 minutes a day, where you take a break, you step away, and you go walk. Literally, just walk. If it's winter outside and you tell me it's cold, I can't, that's an excuse. Let's be honest. Because you could put on a jacket and the fresh, cold air hitting your face and what that does for you, you'd be shocked. But you could walk up and down your stairs in your house if you don't want to walk outside, right? But moving your body and what that creates and how that helps you mentally and physically, your health is your greatest wealth. And so the opportunity that you can take care of yourself better, to give yourself those breaks, you will be more productive as a person overall, personal and professional life, if you take those 10 to 15 minutes a day. And what I like to do is kind of break it up. Sometimes it's easy to stack meetings in a virtual world when you're not traveling back to back to back to back. And you look up and half your day's gone, right? You haven't drank any water, you haven't eaten, you haven't gotten out of your chair. And so I like to really do a good job of at least no more than 2 back-to-back meetings, 3 at most if I have to on a specific day. And then there's a hard block that says I'm getting up for 15 minutes and I'm going to move and walk around and stretch my legs and drink some water. And so I highly encourage that. It's worked really well for me. And there's been seasons I've had to really fight for it, whether it's an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or something that can keep you motivated, connect it. I have it connected to several employees here at Otava and friends out in the world that text me and they're like, hey, good job. Like, so, you need encouragement and community, but you can make it fun. But I'm a big believer that moving can make you feel a lot better. So get up, move around. Big deal.
So I'm good at the boundaries and you're good at the fitness. I'm going to work on getting addicted to fitness. I'm going to do that tomorrow.
We'll get you addicted. It'll work.
Well, really, we hope that everyone found these tips useful, made you think about some things that you might want to do a little bit differently. But I would encourage you, if you're listening to this podcast, you're putting your makeup in the morning, you're shaving, that you don't walk out of the bathroom and forget it all. That if you really did find it helpful, you take action. So like TJ says, I love to reference the calendar. Put it on your calendar. Do it for you. Make some of these things actually happen instead of, like we're all kind of guilty of. We listen to a podcast. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, I should do that. And then we, take out the earbuds and we forgot everything that we just listened to. So set yourself up for a happier, more motivated, and satisfying work experience by actually taking action on just a few of these things if you can.
It's good stuff. Well, we'll be back here next week. We hope everyone has a great week. Mo, have an awesome time at On the Road again and getting to visit another customer. And what we always say, and don't forget for others to say, because we need a t-shirt, right? At some point, we're gonna need a t-shirt. We'll put that out to marketing just in case they were listening. Shout out to those same people, right? But what do we say?
Do a decision.
Do a decision. So,
see ya.
Like, subscribe, forward, send it out. Thanks so much. Have a great week.
Bye.